Your darkness isn't just some void they pushed you into. It's the crucible where your true nature finally emerged. Every time they tried to diminish you, silence you, hide you away from their pristine world, they actually gave you a gift. In the darkness, you discovered parts of yourself that daylight never revealed. Those quiet moments when they thought they were breaking you. That's when you were actually rebuilding yourself, piece by piece, into something far more intricate than their simple minds could grasp. Your pain, your rage, your alienation. These weren't weaknesses to be cured. They were tools being forged in the dark, sharpened by every moment of rejection. The most fascinating thing about your transformation is how it happened right under their noses. While they were busy trying to fix you, to mold you into their version of normal, you were developing abilities they couldn't even comprehend. Like a creature adapting to the depths of the ocean, where no light reaches. You learned to navigate by different senses altogether. You started recognizing patterns they couldn't see, understanding motivations they couldn't admit to themselves, perceiving the delicate threads of fear and desire that puppet their every move. Their attempts to suppress your nature only taught you how to read human behavior like a book written in Braille, through the darkness, with exquisite sensitivity. What makes you truly dangerous isn't your capacity for violence or chaos. It's your intimate understanding of their self-deception. You've watched them build elaborate facades of morality and order, all while their own darkness festers beneath the surface. You learned this by watching their eyes when they delivered their righteous judgments, noting the subtle tremor in their voice when they proclaimed their virtues. Every time they pushed you away, called you broken or sick, you saw the fear in their eyes. Not fear of you, but fear of the parts of themselves they recognized in you. Their rejection became your education in human nature, teaching you how denial and projection shape their entire world. The depth of your insight terrifies them because you've learned to see through the elaborate masks they wear. In their desperate attempts to appear normal, controlled, and righteous, they revealed their deepest insecurities to you. Like a master psychologist born in the dark, you learn to spot the hairline fractures in their psychological armor, the subtle tells that betray their carefully constructed personas. Their biggest mistake wasn't pushing you into the darkness. It was assuming you wouldn't learn anything while you were there. But you did more than learn. You developed a vision that penetrates their thickest walls of self-deception. Your time in the shadows taught you something they'll never understand. True power doesn't come from controlling others. It comes from seeing through them. While they were busy building their hierarchies and systems of control, you were developing an almost supernatural ability to perceive their deepest fears, their hidden desires, their unspoken motivations. Every slight, every dismissal, every attempt to make you smaller only expanded your understanding of human nature. You became a living lie detector, able to sense the discord between their words and their true intentions with the precision of a tuning fork. The beautiful irony of your situation is how their rejection enhanced your perception. Each time they pushed you away, they gave you a better vantage point to observe their performance. Like a theater critic watching from the shadows, you learned to see both the show they put on and the desperate machinations happening behind the scenes. Their attempts to maintain their illusion of normalcy became transparent to you. The subtle adjustments of their masks, the careful modulation of their voices, the practiced gestures of sincerity. You learned to read these signs like a script they didn't even know they were following. Your understanding of human behavior deepened with every attempt they made to simplify you, to diagnose you, to explain you away. While they were applying their neat labels and categories, you were observing how their need to categorize revealed their own fear of complexity. You saw how their theories about your darkness were really just projections of their own suppressed shadows. Every time they tried to analyze you, they unknowingly showed you their own psychological machinery at work, their defense mechanisms, their cognitive biases, their elaborate self-justifications. Perhaps the most profound aspect of your transformation is how their darkness helped you understand your own. While they busy trying to convince themselves of their moral superiority, you were embracing the full spectrum of human nature, both the light and the shadow. You're probably going through some dark times right now. Maybe you feel lost, abandoned, or betrayed by the people who should have protected you. Here's the truth they don't want you to understand. This darkness isn't your enemy. It's your opportunity to grow stronger than they ever imagined. Every great person in history faced their own darkness, and it wasn't their fall that defined them. It was how they used that darkness to rebuild themselves into something more powerful. Let's talk about why pain and darkness make you stronger. When people hurt you, when they push you down, they're actually giving you a gift they don't understand. They're forcing you to develop abilities that comfortable people never will. Think about it. In the dark, your other senses become sharper. You start noticing things others miss. You develop an intuition about people's true intentions. While they're living in their comfortable bubbles, you're learning to see through the masks they wear, understanding human nature on a level they can't imagine. The most powerful thing about embracing your darkness is how it teaches you to understand yourself. When you're in pain, when you're struggling, you're forced to look deep inside and confront truths that others spend their whole lives avoiding. This is why your darkness makes you dangerous. Not because it makes you cruel, but because it makes you wise. You start seeing through the lies people tell themselves. You recognize the games they play because you've had time to study them from the shadows they pushed you into. Here's something they never taught you in school. Every major breakthrough in your life will come from chaos and darkness. It's when everything falls apart that you finally have the freedom to rebuild it better. Think of yourself as a building under renovation. Sometimes, the old structure needs to be torn down before something stronger can be built in its place. The people who hurt you, they thought they were destroying you, but they were really just clearing the ground for your reconstruction. Your suffering has given you a PhD in human nature. While others get their wisdom from books and lectures, you got yours from the front lines of pain and betrayal. This is why you can spot toxic people before they strike, why you can sense manipulation before others even know it's happening. That darkness they forced you into, it became your training ground, your personal laboratory for understanding how people really work, what really drives them, what they're really capable of when their masks come off. The reason most people stay weak is that they run from discomfort. They avoid pain, dodge darkness, and never develop the strength that comes from facing these things head on. But you didn't get that choice. They threw you into the deep end. And instead of drowning, you taught yourself to swim in waters they're too afraid to even touch. This is why your dark experiences make you more powerful, because they forced you to develop strengths that comfortable people never will. Want to know why your darkness makes you special? because it taught you what others will spend their whole lives trying to learn. That pain is a teacher, betrayal is an education, and darkness is where your true power develops. Think about how a sword is made. It's not the gentle handling that makes it strong. It's the repeated striking, the fire, the pressure. That's what your dark times are doing to you, forging you into something far stronger than the people who hurt you could ever become. The secret that successful people know is that their darkest moments became their greatest strengths. Every time someone hurt you, every time they betrayed you, every time they pushed you deeper into the darkness, they were unknowingly giving you gifts: resilience, wisdom, insight, strength. These aren't just pretty words. These are tools that will serve you for the rest of your life. While they were busy trying to break you, you were busy becoming unbreakable. Here's the reality about pain and darkness that most motivational speakers won't tell you. It's not about just staying positive or pushing through. It's about understanding that your dark experiences give you powers that others don't have. You can read people better because you had to learn to protect yourself. You can spot opportunities others miss because you had to become resourceful to survive. You can handle chaos better because you've lived in it. These aren't weaknesses. They're your hidden advantages. You can rebuild yourself into something far stronger than what others tried to destroy. Every betrayal makes your judgment sharper. Every setback makes your comeback stronger. Every moment in the dark makes your vision clearer. Remember this: monsters don't just survive in the dark. They evolve, they adapt, and ultimately, they emerge stronger than ever. Let's talk about something they don't teach you in those fancy self-help seminars. What happens when you spend too long fighting monsters? You see, they'll tell you to stand up to evil, to fight against those who hurt you, to resist darkness. But they conveniently forget to mention the price of this constant battle. Every time you clash with someone who hurt you, every moment you spend plotting revenge, every second you dedicate to fighting darkness, you're actually staring right into it. And here's the kicker: that darkness starts staring right back into you, changing you in ways you might not even notice until it's too late. Want to know why victims often become abusers? It's not because they're weak or evil. It's because studying their tormentors that they unconsciously learned their methods. Think about it. To protect yourself from a monster, you have to understand how it thinks, how it operates, what makes it tick. But there's a trap in this knowledge. The more time you spend understanding darkness, the more familiar it becomes. Soon, those tactics you studied for defense start looking like useful tools. You begin to see how effective manipulation can be, how power can be gained through fear, how control can be maintained through pain. Before you realize it, you're using the very methods you once despised. Here's something they don't want you to understand about fighting monsters. The real danger isn't in losing the fight. It's in winning it the wrong way. When you're locked in battle with something dark and cruel, you start developing defenses, building walls, creating weapons. You think you're just protecting yourself, just getting stronger, just learning to survive. But each defensive measure, each retaliatory strike, each protective barrier changes you a little bit more. The armor you build around your heart starts growing, spikes. The shields you raise to block pain become weapons themselves. Your survival mechanisms slowly transform into tools of aggression. The transformation happens so gradually that you barely notice it. It starts with small things. Maybe you become a little less trusting, a bit more cynical, slightly more willing to strike first before getting hurt. These changes feel natural, even necessary. After all, isn't this what survival in a cruel world requires? But these small shifts are like tiny cracks in a dam. Each one seems harmless enough, but together, they weaken the structure that separates you from becoming what you hate. One day, you look in the mirror and realize you can't tell the difference between your reflection and the monsters you've been fighting. Your journey through darkness teaches you something profound about human nature. Everyone who ever became a monster started out fighting one. Those who abuse power often began by resisting it. Those who manipulate others usually learned these skills as a defense mechanism. This understanding is both a weapon and a warning. It shows you how easy it is to cross that line, to justify using dark methods for supposedly good ends. The most dangerous moment isn't when you're weak. It's when you start feeling powerful enough to use the monster's own tactics against it. The real test isn't in how well you fight the darkness. It's in how you choose to use the strength it gave you. Every battle with monsters leaves you with new abilities, new insights, new powers. But power itself isn't evil. It's how you wield it that matters. This is where most people fail. They get so caught up in winning the fight that they forget to check what the fight is turning them into. They master the art of causing pain because they learned it from their own wounds. They become experts at manipulation because they studied it to avoid being manipulated. Each victory against darkness comes with a hidden price tag, the risk of becoming what you defeat. Think about how immune systems work. They get stronger by incorporating aspects of what they fight against. Your psychological immune system works the same way. Each battle with monsters leaves traces of them inside you. These traces can make you stronger, more resilient, better able to spot and fight similar threats. But they can also change you, twist you, reshape you into something you never meant to become. The key isn't in avoiding this process. It's in staying conscious of it. There's a special kind of irony in how fighting monsters shapes you. The skills you develop to defend against darkness are often dark themselves. To spot a liar, you have to understand lying. To recognize manipulation, you have to study how it works. To protect yourself from cruelty, you have to comprehend how cruelty operates. Each of these understandings changes you. The knowledge you gain for protection can easily become ammunition for attack. The insights you develop for defense can transform into strategies for dominance. The power you build for survival can mutate into tools for control.